All right, welcome back to another live episode of the Relationship Series. My name is Gina Spataro, and this is my brother Sam Spataro talking about the matters of the heart and mind, always, 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 always. Because let's face it, there's always matters of the heart and mind popping up, right? So, how was your week? How was your week?
My
Are you a
week
little
is
frazzled?
okay.
Are you a little frazzled?
A little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually going really good.
good.
I have to make a confession. Last night I missed my first workout. I was putting Elliot to sleep and I fell asleep with her.
Wow.
So anyway, it felt it's the first time in 40 days. The first time from both programs I actually missed a day. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, anyway, I just decided that over the next 3 days, I'm going to add in that other one incrementally throughout the night
Oh,
because my
that's good.
time is so
That's good.
scarce. But things are great. Yeah, the construction business is going really well right now.
Good.
Really have a good energy on the site. Just going really well. What can we say? The sun's shining today. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working right out near Blue Mountain, just in between Collingwood and Thornbury, and it's
Oh,
right on the
beautiful.
water. So
Beautiful.
the lake's right there. It's
Beautiful. It's a nice drive.
yeah, pretty. It's pretty amazing
Mm-hmm.
actually. Thinking actually I might. This is just a maybe. Get into the sports card business.
Sports what?
Sports card business. Pokemon
Sports
sports
card.
cards.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
like.
so I have a gentleman that I'm investing with NFTs right now. He has a sports card business as well, and he just got another partner involved in the business to take care of some things because he's doing a lot of the NFTs. And I'm like, are you guys maybe looking for another partner? I can help out with sales, create leads, all that kind of stuff. So plus I can get the kids Pokemon cards at a good deal.
That's awesome.
So
Okay.
that's that. And the Beachbody on Demand program is going really good. Super happy with it.
Good.
And I know we're heading into another lockdown
No.
next week, or AK school shutting down again, times 3 or 4 now.
For the schools or for lockdowns?
Schools.
Lockdowns. This is our third one, right?
Oh, okay. Probably till the end of the year. You think?
I hope not, but we'll see.
Well, what are we in now? We're in April. There's another 2 months of school. There's March break next week. So essentially, it's what? 2 months. Anyways, we'll see what happens. The lockdown's what, for 30 days?
2.5.
Oh, well, there you go.
2.5.
So I honestly got either way. I couldn't care less. I mean, we got a pretty good,
System.
regimen and how we're dealing with it. So,
That's good.
obviously, Crystal can teach, and the kids doing the schoolwork plus getting extracurricular help. So, hey, you know what? On the flip side, there's someone else in there that has it a lot worse. So there's
Yeah.
always things that you can point out that you need to be grateful for. So it's all good. Anyway, how are things with you and this week?
Excellent. I just had a really great session with my ladies. They're so amazing. They're so great. So we have a challenge this week, making certain people feel significant in their life. So we have to make one person a day for an entire week. So
is it the same person?
No, has to be different.
Oh,
Has to be different.
so what are did you guys discuss some of the things that you're going to do to make them feel significant, or is it significant?
We're gonna share throughout the week what we're doing. Like for example, this morning, I just felt like a coffee, so I messaged about 4 people that I'm really close with in my staff. I'm like, let me know your orders. I'm gonna pick you guys up a coffee. Just random things, right? Just where it's like the appreciation, the gratitude, that kind of stuff, right? So little messages, whatever, but we'll see what happens. So a week has been great, honestly. Week has been great. So I can't really, today was beautiful. My kids were happy. We were happy. What I've noticed and what I'm trying to do in my classroom more often, I'm going to initiate this next year, is before my kids even start work in the classroom, I'm changing the vibration. Like before we even start, like I have my like playlist now. We get up and we do like freeze dance, and it's like all Motown songs that they love. And so it's been great. The energy in the classroom has been fantastic. The kids have been amazing. So just little shifts, right? Like as teachers, we're so curriculum driven, right? Where it's like, hey, we got to like finish this, do this, get all this covered. But then it's like there's so much more to the teaching aspect, right? So yeah, the kids have been great. Just trying to get them through this week and enjoyment and connected and all that kind of stuff, right? Laughing. And it's so funny because I read them stories, right? And I'm very animated when I read. And they're so engaged and they're like, why do you read like that when you read us stories? I'm like, well, do you like it or don't you like it? They're like, yeah, we like it. And it's little shifts of vibrational change, which is really nice.
Well, I mean, look, I've been to numerous Tony Robbins seminars,
Mm-hmm.
and his classroom is a lot different than the classrooms that I
100%.
knew well growing up in like grade school and high school and college. And one thing I've learned, I mean, and there's a lot of science to back this, is that how well you learn is directly correlated to your physiology.
Yeah.
So the higher the state you're in, the more you're going to learn. It actually increases your ability to remember and learn by, I think it's like 70 or 75%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's every so often you're in your chair, he makes you stand up, listen to music, get pumped up, you're
Yeah.
back down, you're learning again, because if there's no emotion to the learning, it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
Especially for people who already aren't interested in school to begin with. I mean, there are those that are just naturally good bookworms and learners, and then there's those that aren't. It's just how do you bring everybody's vibration up to make the most out of that learning, right? So good for you.
Yeah, it's been great. It's really been great. Okay, so tonight's topic, you chose tonight's topic, Sam, obviously, because you're a parent and you're a great parent. So how to be a great parent? I mean, there's no one rule, right? There's no, every size fits all. It's very circumstantial. It's, everyone's cards are dealt so differently. Everybody's kids are so different in their own way. Beliefs are different, values are different, the way people are raised and doctrines and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so how to be a great parent. Is there a handbook? Is there a handbook, Sam? Did you get one?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? I think it really comes down to this. There's principles for success and there's principles for failures in anything that you do in your life, whether it's parenting, relationships, business, finances, whatever it is that it might be, right? And so, we always say at best, parents are average or below average when it comes to parenting styles and, feeling like, you're being successful with your children, right? So, don't parent your children based on how you wish your parents did. So I definitely would say I catch myself all the time, when I'm speaking to my kids about, certain things that go on in our lives together or in their lives. And I try to give them ideas and thoughts on how to navigate it based on what I wish I was told. Right. And so a lot of the times as parents, I see this all the time, and I see it within my own household, is that a lot of our parenting styles is either one, directly correlated to how you were taught, or two, directly correlated to how you wish you were parented.
Right.
Right. So that can either be successful or it can be unsuccessful, but it's very clear to all of us that all human beings, that all children are different. And so it's very important not to get caught up in that. And I do catch myself often. And I would say I've been a parent for about 10 years now. And, I think I'm being a lot more conscious of it these days than any other time before. but definitely paying attention to what their needs are
Mm,
and what they want in that moment rather than what you think that they need.
yeah. I mean, on the flip side of that, though, right? Like sometimes what they think they need may not be beneficial to them. So that's where it's like the balance has to happen, right? Like, for example, if they think they need to be on their devices 24/7, well, you as a parent have to differentiate, okay, what's a reasonable amount of time per day? Like it's not going to babysit you all day, right? Like there has to be some different types of engagement. So I think, yeah, I totally agree with you. But I also think it's a little bit circumstantial as to having your child navigate, the maturity level of their choices. If that makes
Well, I mean, what is that correlated to? The rules of the parent.
Yeah, 100%.
You either, oh, I heard this one. This was a great one. You either be the parent or you're going to get parented,
Yeah,
right?
real quick, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, 100%. All right. Don't beat kids up when they do things wrong. And what's the degree to like, obviously we know it's not a physical,
No, of course not.
but like even like verbally, like, when you express a concern or something. So what's too much, do you think?
Well, I think that, we all need a set of rules into dealing with children,
Hmm.
when they do things that are wrong. So, and direct what you believe is violation to, what is acceptable and not. But, how many times as you as an adult, go to do something or think about doing something and you're hesitant because you're afraid of the flack or the trouble or the pain that it might cause because someone might disagree with your thoughts and opinions and beliefs because that's your character,
Right.
right? So it's very important to, you know, can, not to beat them up over the things that they do wrong, which means, really have an effective communication style,
Hmm.
right? So what we do a lot of the times here in this household when, our kids are maybe doing things that we don't agree with, we send them to the room,
Mm.
right? And we tell them you're not being punished. It's just a time period you need to go and cool down,
Yeah.
right? So we always correlate things, not always, but we always correlate things that we feel we want to do in order, one, to make them accountable for what they've done and have a talk about it and let them know what the consequences are going to be. But
Mhm.
there has to be a style in which you deal with it where, your emotions don't get conflicted or you don't get heated, right?
Right.
So that to me is a big thing. So a lot of the times, what we do is, like I said, well, the very first thing we do is just say, you know what, if they're acting, out or done things that are inappropriate, and maybe they're not in a good physiology or psychology to deal with it, we go and tell them, you know what, go to your room, take a time out. It's not a punishment because you don't want to think that going to the room they're being punished. It's you need a cool down period. You need to
Mhm.
collect your thoughts. We want you to think about what you did,
Yeah.
right? And then when you're ready, we're going to come back, we're going to pull you out, and we're going to talk about it, right? It could take 5 minutes. It could take 20 minutes. It could
Yeah.
take an hour, right? But as you progressively do that, the time period gets shorter
Mhm.
and shorter and shorter, right? Because they know that, and what we do too also is the more effective that they become in that and the things that they focus on by us helping them for things that they're accountable for, we reduce the consequence a little bit because there was accountability,
Yeah.
there was reflection, right? But we also ask them too, what do you think is an appropriate, consequence for, what has taken place,
Yeah.
right? What did you learn from this? How can you become better? So I mean, you don't want to be that parent where they do something wrong, you're spanking their ass and they're sitting in the room, or you're yelling at them, or you're telling them they're a piece of shit, or they feel like they're less than,
Mhm.
because no kid wants to feel that way. No adult in a relationship enjoys being talked to or, wants to feel that way. So if we want to create better children, we have to give them better communication styles in which when a problem comes up and how you deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Okay.
Well,
Next.
you know what? Before we go on to that,
Yeah.
let's use a style in which you deal with something in school. these aren't your children. You're not a parent to them. However, they are under your guidance. They are under your supervision. So
Mhm.
what is your communication style in that? Because it might be different than, what I've shared.
I look at them like this. And they,
And then you like this.
and they know exactly, I mean, business. I have a very high expectation for my kids. I have a very high expectation. I'm not okay with certain behaviors in my classroom. However, there's certain things, yeah. I mean, I'm part of the equity.
So how do you deal with it? A problem comes up, the kid's acting out, you're not cool with it. What does Gina Spataro do?
Well, it depends. If I find that it's a behavior that they're used to getting attention for, I'll ignore it. I'll let them have a few minutes by themselves to figure out their emotions and not needing me to go up to them when they're all hot-headed and looking for, not that they don't deserve to be consoled, but sometimes that behavior is fed by an instant reaction. So I need to flip that, right? Where it's like, okay, when you can handle it a different way, then I am willing to openly talk about it. So I found that works a lot with some of my students. Also, yeah, I always talk about ownership where it's like, okay, yes, I understand how you're feeling. However, you need to understand that this is part of why the situation happened, why it happened. And I always, 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 instead of just saying, go say sorry, like that's an easy one, right? Where it's like, just go say sorry. Well, it's like, no, you need to explain why you're sorry. What is it that you're feeling remorseful for? What did you do? What were your actions that implemented this distraught in someone else? Like, they need to understand what it is that they're feeling and how they made other people feel. I mean, my age group, it's just like little petty things, like someone stole the skipping rope, or like, something silly, like someone took my crayon, right? So it's very minuscule, but I mean, there's certain things like if I get a note from a supply teacher that some friends were rude, it's like, okay, there's going to be a consequence. Like there's no need for that behavior to be different from when I'm here, when someone else is here. In fact, you should be treating them with more respect. So it's all you have to teach them, right?
Do you say things to them when the supply teacher comes in?
Yes.
Okay.
So I prep them before I leave, like the next day. I always warn them the day before if I can that I'm going to be away. And I write it on the board. I said, your job is not to create stress in someone new's life when they come in here. However, you can go up to that person and say, how can I make your day better? And I'm like, I'm going to check and see how many people did that. And then I'll check the next day and they'll be like, I did. And then they'll be like, so-and-so's name is on the list though. And it's like, so, which is great. So normally I would get like a bunch of kids on the list of misbehaviors, but one or two maybe every time now. So, which is good. It's just they need to know that you need to teach them, right? You need to teach them where it's like, how would they have known to ask a supply teacher, how can I make your day better? What can I do to make your day better? Right? So imagine your teachers told you to say that to a supply teacher.
It's funny because, I mean, everybody's different, whether it's, parenting or in your situation where you're responsible for other children. But, there's always a style in which you can succeed and always a style in which you will fail.
Yeah.
Right. It's very distinct.
Yeah. Yeah, which is great. So, and I'm learning too, right? It's like, how can I set them up for success? Right? Because I don't want those notes, but how can I help alleviate that? How can I set them up for success? How can I give them a sense of contribution? Right? So, all right, the next one is put them in things they love and not what you are interested in. What do you think?
Well,
What were you put in that you weren't interested in?
no, and I honest to God, this doesn't pertain to me because as far as I can look back when I was a kid, I was always into things that I wanted to do.
Yep,
I
soccer.
loved hockey. I loved soccer. I loved going to karate,
Yeah.
which was very short lived because Dad broke his
Yeah.
leg or arm in a competition. I can't remember.
Arm, wasn't it?
I still remember to this day being. I think it was at the Bayfield Mall, and our dojo went there and had a competition right like out in the hallways in the mall. And I remember him fighting, and I don't remember going to the hospital or anything like that with him, but
Oh, yeah.
I do remember that, and that was the last time that's my last memory of karate, but it was
I
so
mean,
much fun. But yeah, for me growing up, I was always in things that I loved and I wanted to do.
yeah.
Right. But, I definitely can say there's a lot of situations today, like we always say, keeping up with the Joneses or comparing yourself to your neighbors where, everybody wants I don't remember it being like this when I was a kid, but it just seems like today everybody wants their kid to be the next Sidney Crosby,
Mm,
right? Or the next Ronaldo, or like, it's just, I don't know. It's like something has shifted where it's, I don't know, the parents involve themselves too much,
mm,
right? Rather than like kids just want to play sports and have fun, which is what it should be about, right? Or whatever it is that they want to do. Maybe
mhm.
it's art classes, or maybe it's, like our daughter, like dance or gymnastics, whatever it is. But, a lot of people, put their kids in things that, they're not really interested in, but they think they would be interested in because their friends playing it or whatever, that they decide to put them in and they hate it and don't
Right.
want going. So, as they get older, there could be a lot of resentment towards that, and then they might not end up not even wanting to do anything, right?
Mhm.
So I would just be very clear, maybe sit down with them and just say, what are the things you absolutely love
Yeah.
that like make your heart pump, that excite you? Is it hockey? Is it soccer? Is it reading? Is it right? Like whatever it is, just put them in that.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure Elon Musk's mother didn't try to put him in like 20 different sports and 20 different activities. She probably seen what he was passionate about
Mhm.
and let him just do that.
Yeah.
I think Bill Gates' parents, because I watch a documentary, is very similar too. You know what I mean? So it's a very fine line between like, you know, parenting and wanting to put your kids in things so, you know, they could be successful at something that you didn't do, or they can go and do something that you didn't get to finish.
Right.
Pay attention to what they want to do. Put
Mhm.
them in things that excite them, and to them, it's not work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're like you have to be very, you have to walk that in a very fine line. And
Mhm.
I see it all the time today. All the time, kids are like 30,000 different things at the same
Yeah.
time. It's like, just put them in one fucking thing that they love, and maybe they would just be so amazing at it that one day they will make something of it.
Yeah.
Like you don't see a chess player, doing professional hockey and, downhill skiing at the same time. He's a
Right.
professional chess player,
Right.
so that's what I'm saying. If there's one tip that I want to give people is sit down with your kids and say, of all these things that you're doing, you're interested, what is the one thing that isn't work? The one thing that excites you, that you love, that you can't wake up
Mhm.
to do? Put them in that,
Yeah.
right? Put
Okay.
them in that. What
Now,
about you? What do you think, G?
I think it's good for kids to dabble in things, but you're right. Work on their interests, their niches.
Or even, yeah, like you're right, dabble. And
Mhm.
then if you're seeing that there's passion, interest of one specific thing, put them all in that,
Yeah, 100%.
right?
I'm going to introduce this one, but I got to plug my computer in because I forgot to plug it in. But the next one is teach them discipline and don't make things easy. I have a lot to say about
Oh,
this one.
yes. So, I think all parents, unless you were like an army sergeant, back in the day, and you're just so disciplined that you never allow an excuse from anyone enter your mind, because one doesn't ever enter your mind. But teaching children the skill of discipline, because discipline is a skill that you
Mhm.
develop through practice, right? Um, is a recipe for success. When you make things easy for them by trying to take shortcuts, or because you see that they're in pain or they're freaking out, that will be their style as they get older when challenges come up about how they approach it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they going to follow through? Are they going to go all in? Right? Or are they going to subdue to, you know, that, you know, childhood learning of, you know, when things come up in my life, this is how my parents got to, you know, let me deal with them. You
Yeah.
know, look, at the end of the day, like, we're adults. Like, you know, I'm on this workout program, and there's a lot of nights I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm busy. Like, I have 3 kids. I've got my construction company. I'm trying to build this online platform. I've got, you know, my sports cards, the cryptocurrency. You know, there's other things that I got to spend time with my wife. Like, you know, there's lots of things that I want to do. But, you know, there's an element of discipline that comes with taking care of yourself, that you just naturally reap the rewards of success in other areas of your life. You just
Right.
naturally become a better version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It filters through all those other aspects in your life. But, you know, I can't tell you countless times where, you know, I see, you know, especially when there's certain types of like children that do things wrong, and through manipulation of their, you know, the way they freak out or their choice of words or whatever, the parents don't follow through. How many times do you see that? You know, those
Oh,
false threats, those false promises, those
mm-hmm.
false things that, you know, are going to come with consequences for their actions, for not following through with their commitments, or, you know, breaking a set of rules. And then you develop a somewhat of a toxic personality in them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then that can filter into other areas of life and how they treat others, right? Whether it's in a relationship or a place of work. And it's just, there's no benefit to it whatsoever. It doesn't make them a better human being. Like, so for us, I'll give you an example tonight. After dinner, Christian, you know, we put their phones away, and when they want TV time or technology time, they have a choice: is it the phone or the TV, right? But they aren't allowed to touch them until all the toys are put away, their
Mm-hmm.
rooms are cleaned and organized, their shoe areas are organized, and then they're welcome to grab TV or their phone and a snack, and away they go. Are we always, you know, at our best in making them accountable? No. But when there's times where you let them get away with it, there's an element of where you're at where you're not being fully present because you're focusing on something else,
Right.
right? You know, so if you want to make your kids the best version of themselves, not today, but tomorrow, in 5 years, in 10 years, do not make it easy for them. If there's commitments that they made, or that, you know, that they need to be, you know, they need to follow through on because it's important to your family structure, your beliefs, whatever it is, they need to be held accountable, because it will have such profound effects on who they become later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And they will thank you for the success later. They will hate you today. They
Yeah.
will roll their eyes. They will roll around on the floor. They will cry. They will kick, and they scream. Will scream. But over time, just as you train a baby after you pull the soother away, over time they eventually will fall asleep and self-soothe themselves. And over time, it would be like clockwork. You wouldn't even have to say anything. They wouldn't have to think about it, because they developed the skill of taking care of their things,
Right.
taking care of themselves,
Right.
right? And that is a gift that you give them. It is not a consequence.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Remember Don Dupani, the monk, was saying, he was talking about making the bed every morning before leaving the house. And it just sets up for a routine of organization and like setting your day up for success and whatnot. And it's true, you know, that discipline. And, you know, so many people are like, oh, that's not important. Okay, maybe not. It might sound so trivial, like so small and trivial, but it's an example of setting yourself up for what it is that you're going to extend throughout your day, right? So whether it's, okay, making sure your room is tidy before you leave the house, or, you know, whatever. And like you said, it's not going to be perfect all the time, But majority of the time you have this mindset where it's a discipline and it's an action. You're following through with action, right? And so many kids nowadays don't have that. And it's so wishy-washy for them, where it's like when a parent does say it out of the blue, they're like, well, this isn't part of my routine. Like, why are you getting so upset over something that you never really teach me to do, but you're telling me now so forcefully? Right? So they get so confused with the messages, where it's like, if you want it to be consistent, then you have to be consistent, right? And it can't be one way or the other. It's like, what matters to you to set them up for success and follow through. It's going to take time. It's going to take energy. It's going to take battles. It's going to take all of it. But in the end, what is your end goal? What is your end goal for them to be as adults, right? Self-sufficient, a person in society that can manage themselves properly, all those things, right? A contributing member to our society. That's huge. Like, I worry for this youth. It's not that they won't be members of society. It's like, how will they contribute, right? So, and I'm pretty sure maybe our elders were thinking the same thing about us. Maybe, I don't know. But to the degree
it seems to get easier and easier for every generation.
Yeah, things seem to get easier.
I mean, think about when humans first came to Earth to today.
Yeah.
Right? It progressively gets better and easier in many ways, right?
100%. Yeah. So, but I agree with you. I think teaching them discipline is huge. Not to the point where it's like, they can't even move a muscle without being reprimanded for something.
That is definitely.
But I think it's fundamental.
Yeah. You don't want to make them walk around on eggshells. But when it comes to things that they need to be accountable for and they have responsibilities, or that they're out of line, you need to hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable, fundamental, like the fundamentals of life. Like, the fundamentals of life are not living on a screen 24/7, not knowing how to interact with people. Fundamentals of life is not reenacting a fake, avatar or person who is in the limelight. Like, that's not real life. Real life is here in the present, right? So what do they need to do to be successful? I agree with you 100%.
I just want to add one thing, Gina.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I also mean by teaching the skill of discipline and don't make things easy, another thing I want to attach is that pushing through fears.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, how many countless times, like even like as an adult, there's like still I had like childhood fears that, I hadn't overcome and, wanted to conquer. And there was times like as a parent, I could see that, when they would do those things that I would fear, I could feel the fears coming out in myself because of those things that I've been healed and overcome myself, right? So you also have to teach yourself this along the way as well.
Yeah.
So teaching yourself the skill of discipline by not making things easy means that, when there's something that, maybe they're afraid of, or maybe they're not, but that you're afraid of, you teach yourself that, you know what? I'm going to allow them to push through anyway.
Yeah.
You really want to allow your children, and being a child is, being adventurous. And if you're going to fall, you can learn from it. You can grow. It's like I always used to tell my kids when they would learn how to skate, don't count how many times you fall. Count how many times you get back up. And if when we're done skating, you tell me all the times you got back up. If there are more times than you fell, then there'll be a reward for that, right? So little things like that when it came to swimming, or, even now, like, my daughter's, I don't know, would you call her a tween?
Yep.
Like there's little things going on in her girl world, right? With girlfriends and stuff that, she talks about, that she has like fears, and, I'm just teaching her to, to hit them head on, whatever they are, whatever it is that you fear, because overcoming your fears is a discipline.
Yeah.
It's a discipline you give yourself to know that, I'm either going to allow the fear to conquer me, or I'm going to conquer it and I'm going to become the best me from it. And I'm going to be freer, happier, more adventurous, more wealthy, whatever it is. So, definitely, like teach them the skill of discipline, teach them the skill of pushing through their
Yeah.
fears by not making it easy because you're an overprotective parent that will diminish the quality of their childhood.
Right.
You know, because you're not in a good mental state, maybe you're not an adventurous person, whatever it is that it might be. You know, keep your fears to yourself and allow them to be free and put on that game face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is there anything else you want to end with, Sam, before we log off here?
No, I'd just like to say, I think we've been doing this, what now, 2-3 years?
No.
2
No.
years?
Probably maybe 2 years. Yeah.
Really?
Maybe.
Seems longer than that. I'd have to check our.
Yeah.
But I just want to, thank you two for giving us the platform to come on here and, talk about stuff that interests us. Thank the people that take time out of their day to watch our videos, and hopefully one day something comes from this. But if not, and in the meantime, it directly impacts you and your life in some way, then this time is served well. So I just want to thank you. And I want to thank you also, Gina, for deciding to do this. It's been quite the adventure and
interesting,
journey. And it's been quite interesting.
Yeah, it has, for sure. And on that note, this is the Relationship Series, always talking about the matters of the heart and mind. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We will see you all next time. Ciao for now.